Boma Clapon in the Great Accra region. Then we also received from dominant in the Boma East District in the Central region, and in the Kita K2 South in the Volta region. But we are right now looking out for other places that it might happen. So, and as it happens, we'll keep you updated. Yeah.
Okay,
so we are stressed. Hello.
Okay, please go on.
Hello.
Sir, please go on.
Okay. But what we are stressing right now is a disease that is very, 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 it has got its own ways of dynamics. And the flu virus, and they can change their actions. So what we are saying is that they should up what we call security measures. Make sure they don't visit farms, especially the affected farms, and they should make sure hygiene is on top, to make sure everything they have to do to keep the disease out, and also not bring the disease in by going to people's farms and bringing them there or buying those that can be cheap up to theirs because of the disease. Because obviously there will be some deaths, and people like to reduce their losses by maybe selling some of those deaths cheap and things. But there are signs that you will see that because those deaths are some that they just die like that without showing any signs. Sometimes they will show signs like having some redness on the legs, having some blood clots on the body, and the guy gasping, trying to, I think they are struggling for breath and that kind of thing. Yeah, but not all of them will show this. The only time you see your bird dying just like that without any cause, please alert the ministry of the personnel around the office or the veterinary people to let them come and take samples. And please don't take the samples of your bird camp. Use a polythene bag or something to take it, and then take it to the vet or to the Ministry of Agric office, and they will do what you do next. So basically, this is what we're doing. We're just trying to make sure it doesn't spread to the human beings and things like that.
Okay, so with all these precautionary measures you're asking farmers and even, of course, buyers, how dangerous is this infection? Can you tell us?
How dangerous is it?
Yes, how dangerous is it?
Because it can affect human beings who also show symptoms like flu, and serious ones are like dangerous to human beings. But we are concerning ourselves right now with the animals because we don't have enough beds. And when they die, now a day or sick is about 10 to the one. So imagine you lose about 50,000, 10,000, or that kind of thing. It's not a joke. So economically, it's a problem. And of course, human health too is involved in this. Though we didn't have much of this happening in Ghana, but it can happen. Each one has got its own symptoms and the way it behaves. Yeah. So that is why we are worried. The economic cost to this is one thing that is very worrying to us. Yes. And the human involvement, if it should come, that will also be a very worrying thing. Yes. And it has happened before, 2017 and all those. It happened before. So unfortunately it has come again, the cycle has come again. So we have to do everything money possible to make sure we don't allow it to spread to the other parts of the country.
All right, so once it can affect humans, what are some of the signs of human infections of bird flu?
It's just like a flu type of thing. Coughing, sneezing, sore throats, muzzle aches, fever, cough, diarrhea, vomiting, shortness of breath, pneumonia, and acute respiratory diseases can also come.
Okay, so
not in one person, but it can come in different forms. That's one thing about it. Yeah.
So now let's take a look at this. Since the outbreak, 5,811 birds have died naturally on the affected farms. So, and the veterinary service have also destroyed about 4,500 birds. Do you have any compensation for the affected farmers?
So far, we cannot talk about compensation. Let us get the job done. Then we'll know the way forward. The compensation is one thing, but stopping it is the first thing, and the thing that engages attention right now, because it's a dangerous thing. The compensation compensation that will after we assess all the risk and things like that, then of course the government and maybe will find a way of compensating them. But that's not our priority. Our priority right now is to make sure we make the whole thing in the bag, so it doesn't go beyond what is reasonable.
All right. So after destroying the birds,
I cannot say now. Yeah.
After destroying the birds, what next do you do to the farmers, or what next are the farmers supposed to do?
Yeah,
they
so
just
we
continue?
have a series of things that we do. You see, first of all, you have to stop the disease, and you use tactics that are really fast and resolute, because you cannot any day you waste the disease can spread. So we say something about stamping out. Stamping out is that killing all the affected ones so that we get rid of the pathogen, the disease. Then, of course, we do what we call disinfection. We clean, we disinfect the place not one, a number of times. Then we do what we call sentinel animal. We put some things that will take swab and check and see if the disease is really gone. Then, of course, we wait for some time. Then we do another, I'd call it, disinfection and things. And when we are sure that everything, then we put what we call sentinel animals. These animals that are susceptible to disease, but to see if they will catch up with it. If they don't catch up, that means the infection has been very effective. Now we haven't gone there yet. It's a stage-by-stage thing that we do. We have to be sure that we've really cleared the virus, and then things are safe for people to restore. Yeah.
And so how long will this take?
Well, it depends. It depends on what we have on our hands and the fact that farmers cooperate without having to sell animals to some places or not to report the deaths of animals. Well, we need to know all this. If we want to escape, that means all that we've done, all the money that has been spent has gone waste. So we have to cooperate with them, and once we want to cooperate with them, we tell them what to do, when to do it, and things like that. So it's something that we have to do together.
So what is the Directorate or MOFA doing to stem the spread?
What will MOFA do to spread the word?
The spread of the bird flu disease.
The best, we have several methods. There are methods. Sometimes we call it, we do the next. Sometimes we have some gas that we can use. A whole lot of methods can be done. But we make sure it is done in such a way that it doesn't spread the disease out.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We use methods that are appropriate and effective. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. And that was the Deputy Director of the Veterinary Services Directorate, Mr. Darlington. So let's stay a while longer on the bird flu infection that we've recorded here in the country. And since the outbreak of the highly pathogenic avian influenza disease, poultry farmers have expressed their concerns that the development will have a negative impact on their businesses and could collapse their farms. The national president of the Poultry Farmers Association, Mr. Victor Oponeje, is in the studio here to help us get a better understanding of the situation. So good afternoon, sir, and thank you so much for joining us here in the studio. So first, how is the poultry business affecting your business in the wake of COVID?
Thank you very much. Actually, before this came, we've been having challenges in our feed cost. It has been escalating for the past months. We were buying maize 65 cedis last year, 50 kilo weight, but now it's 140 Ghana cedis at the same 50 kilo weight. So this has been a challenge to the industry because basically we use about 50-55% of the maize as feed input. So if the prices goes up, it affects everything of the industry. More so, we are having challenges on the wheat bran, which has been also part of our feed ingredients. It's very difficult to get some to buy locally, and so people have to import some from neighboring countries, although we have some feed flour mills here who are producing wheat bran. So that has been a challenge. Wheat bran was about 20 cedis, and now we are buying it 45 cedis. So looking at the price increment, it has causes a lot of challenges to the industry, because now our feed cost is very high, and we are not able to sell our eggs to meet the cost of the production. Now, egg tray, the large is about 18 cedis. So if we do our calculations, every egg tray costs about 21 cedis, but we are selling it 18 cedis. So it means every farmer loses about 3 cedis on every tray of egg. So assuming somebody is having about 1,000 bears, it means every day he's losing about 3,000 Ghana cedis, which is a lot. And this can cause the collapse of the poultry industry if nothing is done about it.
So you have all these problems around already, and then comes in this bird flu or the avian influenza. So what impact are you anticipating with the outbreak of this infectious disease?
Okay, I think for this bird flu, it's not giving us panic, because we've had experience already. It started in 2007. That was the first time we had the outbreak in the country. And with that time, it was very panicking. We didn't know what to do. But through the collaborative effort of the Veterinary Services Department and the Ghana National Association of Poultry Farmers and other government agencies, we were able to manage the situation that we kept the virus from spreading further. And it also happened in 2015 and 2016 and 2018. We did the same thing. And we've done a lot of sensitization to the poultry farmers, especially on intensifying biosecurity, as the veterinary director said. Biosecurity is basically about protecting life, life of the bears and human. So we've done sensitization as to what the farmers to do. The first one is farmers should not allow people to frequent their places, because that place is not a playing ground. It's meant for business. So if people have nothing to do there, you shouldn't allow them to come in. I mean, that I'm visiting friends or something of that sort. We should keep people away from the industry. And more so, we've introduced a vehicular bath, which means that there should be a hole that water and disinfectant will be mixed, and every car that comes to the farm must pass through it before it gets to the farm. In that case, if the vehicle is having any bacteria, by the time it passes through the water with disinfectant, the bacteria will die. We also have foot bath for humans who are coming there to transact business. And that one too, we have water and disinfectant that you have to step in before you enter the farm. In that case, every bacteria you are carrying will die in the what do you call it, in the water.
So all these measures you are talking about, do we find them on all the farms that we visit?
Yes, what we do is we sensitize them. Farmers are supposed to do that, because if you don't do that and you get outbreak, it might not be bird flu that the government is going to give compensation. If you have any bacterial infection, you are going to lose. Okay. So these are the means to curb all these bacterial infections and the viral diseases.
So coming back to the bird flu infection, now 7 farms have been affected. So what is the association doing to avert further spread?
Yes, this is part of it. The what do you call it? The
measures that you are putting.
The measures, yeah. We've also advised them not to litter dead bears around, because bird flu comes about when migrating birds are passing. Sometimes they'll be looking for food and water. So if you throw dead bears around, they might come to the farms to feed on the carcass. And in the course of doing that, their droppings will left there, which carries the virus, because they are carriers. For them, the virus will not kill them, they are carriers. But if they drop it there, through airborne, it will affect the bears, and the bears will start dying. So we've educated the farmers or sensitized them that if you have any dead bird, you don't throw it around to invite these migrating birds. Rather, you dig a hole and put the birds, you bury them over there.
Okay.
And more so, we've advised them to report every sick bird to the veterinary services, because we don't want a situation that the thing will start, you don't take care of it, and before you realize it will be spreading.
Okay.
So the veterinary will come there to inspect it to see whether it is a bird flu or any other bacterial infection, and they will advise as to what and what to do.
Okay, so usually when there is such a disease breakout, is there a compensation for the affected farms?
Yes, we have arrangements with the government in the previous government, and I know government is successive. So once we have that arrangement, it must continue, because if you don't give compensation to the farmers, it means that if I see that the birds are dead, I can kill them and send them to the market. But once the farmer knows that compensation will be paid, he will just report to the veterinary to come and do whatever they want to do.
All right.
And after that, the government gives the compensation.
Finally, tomorrow is the climax of Eid al-Adha, right? The celebration. So what should farmers and buyers do to avoid buying infected birds with the disease?
Let me say that any bird infected with a virus like bird flu is not attractive. You cannot even hold it. It will be so weak that you cannot even take it to the market. So we are giving assurance to the public that every bird that will come to the market will be a very healthy one and not sick bird. More so, they cannot even lay egg because they will be so weak. The system will break and the bird will be so weak that it cannot even lay egg. So we are assuring the public that we are giving them a quality egg and a healthy bird.
Thank you very much, Mr. Opon Eje. Mr. Victor Opon Eje is the national president of the Poultry Farmers Association. Moving on, during the month of June, Ghana recorded 100 new cases of coronavirus. By close of 17th of May 2021, the Ghana Health Service had already recorded close to 150 new cases, representing more than 50% increase in cases. Discussions on GTV's flagship current affairs program, Talking Points, centered on the spike in COVID-19 cases in the country and need for the public to adhere to all the safety protocols.
If people don't understand that the risk of COVID is not transient, until we have high levels of vaccination, there is a constant risk for surges like this and upticks like this. If people don't appreciate that fact, it's very easy for them after a while where they're not hearing numbers being mentioned, they're not seeing press conferences, there's no public engagement on the topic, for them to assume that the problem must have died out, so the need for the risk as it exists is not as high as it was before. That, I think, is informing a lot of a big part of the apathy and the fatigue right now. But there's also the other part of it that is, again, about the risk communication, but about whether or not people actually believe there's a problem.
Why are we not using antigen tests in schools and other places? Why are we only, we've been using, Ghana was one of the first countries, is one of the only African countries to have airport testing the way we do. It's a very innovative and, to be honest, I think it's a very useful system. But we could take that and replicate it in other aspects of the community. So I don't quite fully understand why we haven't used something like antigen testing. The one at the airport is an immunofluorescence assay, but it's an antigen test. There are now lateral flow devices that look like, the malaria test that we are all used to taking in a pharmacy, that you can use to detect antigens for this virus.
The Asante Hinotumfo said Tutu is urging all citizens to work hard to deepen the peace in the country. In the wake of so much intolerance and military brutality in the country, Otumfo is asking particularly the President and the Speaker of Parliament to do away with anything that will jeopardize the peace the country has enjoyed for decades for political expediency. We have on the line the Executive Secretary of the National Peace Council, also Mr. George Amo to drum home our collective responsibilities in safeguarding the country's peace. Hello, good afternoon, Mr. Amo.
Good afternoon.
Sir, why does there seem to be so much intolerance in the country? Let's make reference here to Ejura and Wa.
Thank you. Our listener. I think a number of people accounts for intolerance, conflict, and probably let me of them. If you look at the way humans are organized, when people feel there is one section of exclusion, discrimination, or marginalization, people will not usually thought to help, and they can behave in a way that they should. If you look at the society now, once they get to our national unity is what affects a period.
Mr. Amo, there seems to be a break in your line. Can you please position yourself well?
Sorry. Is it better?
Yes, I think it's far better now.
All right. So what I'm saying is that, you see, conflict and peace builders will tell you that structural conflict, which is one key driver of the things we see. I mean, what happened in Ejura, etc. Mostly because when people feel that they are not part of a system, when there's a perception of exclusion, when there's a perception of marginalization, and when people feel that they have not been given the attention that they are supposed to have, it contributes a lot to, societal conflicts. And aside of that, poverty and joblessness is one key driver of these things. Where somebody who has nowhere to do or next to nothing to do, that person easily lends himself or herself to issues that may not bother somebody who is fully engaged. You see, so we have a duty as a people to consistently review how we are integrating ourselves, how we are making room for people who may have perception of not being included to be part of the system. It should be a deliberate policy of government. As we speak now, the Peace Council with support of government, we are in the Volta region. We are trying to collect views. There is a perception that people from that part of Ghana are not well integrated. So how do we correct this? It may be perception, but how do we correct it? You collect relevant data and you try to prescribe solutions, by way of policy development, by way of, active engagement with the people. Then you find a solution. That's how society should run. And I think that the 2432 call is in the right direction. We have to increase the space for more tolerance among our people. I think it should be deliberate. It shouldn't just be ad hoc. It should be deliberate policy by government and agencies from time to time to review how integrated our people are, so that we can, for example, say, Ministry of Education, we think that our schools are not well integrated. Some people do not feel that they are part of maybe the school system, like it happened in Wesley Girls. How do we ensure that people of different and varied faiths within a particular setting feel that they are part of the process? These are very, very, very significant things we can do. They may not cost us much, but there are preventive measures that we can all put in place as a people to ensure that we do not allow insurgents to come in and foment trouble and create problems for all of us. So we should, all of us, create rooms for people to belong. That is very, very, very important. And when we are able to do that, we are going to increase inclusiveness, we are going to increase participation, people will feel less marginalized in our system, and they'll be willing, even in poverty, to live in peace with themselves.
Mr. Muba, it seems the Peace Council is silent on all this recent violence. Why so?
We have never been silent, Francisco Sego. On the 29th, when this issue happened, the Peace Council was having a conference with key political actors, civil society actors at Ada Aqua Safari. We issued a statement the same day. You see, and we called for tolerance, we called for calmness, and our former chairman led a team from our regional Peace Council to be at the place. We did what we could. You see, the Peace Council is not a judge to pass judgment on issues of that nature. And we are not the police to arrest and etc. But what we do, we use mechanisms, the soft approaches. We will collect the data, we try to talk to people, building relationships for lasting resolution of issues. And that's what we did. And we are doing that with the people there. Ask the MP there, he will tell you that we're consistent even before the elections.
All right, sir. Thank you very much for your time. And Mr. George Amo is the Executive Secretary of the National Peace Council. Ahead of the Muslim festival, the Eid al-Adha, on Tuesday, July 20, 2021, GBC News was out and about to check prices of livestock in market centers across the Upper East region. As has often been the case, prices have shot up. This annual festival commemorates Prophet Ibrahim's willingness to sacrifice his son Ismail in obedience to God's command. Well, we're trying to bring you pictures to this story. Moving on, as Ghana struggles to reach its target of vaccinating 20 million citizens, it has emerged that the government was using the services of middlemen to procure 3.4 million doses of Russia's Sputnik V vaccines. However, this was at a cost of $19, higher than the original factory price of $10. After days of disagreement, a 9-member ad hoc parliamentary committee has been tasked to probe the controversial Sputnik V vaccine procurement. Though the contract has been abrogated, the committee resumed sitting today with Health Minister Mr. Kwekwa Jumameno expected to reappear before the committee to answer questions on the deal. Our correspondent Humu Kalsum Abdullahi is observing the sitting for GBC News. Hello, good afternoon, Humu. Yeah, Humu, tell us what has come up at the sitting.
The committee has been investigating the circumstances that led to the Ministry of Health signing the agreement with Sheikh Ahmed Mahmoud Al Maktoum to supply the country with the Sputnik V vaccine. According to the committee, some of the committee members, they said it wasn't necessary for the ministry to sign the contract through a middleman to provide the vaccine. They said that just like other countries, if the ministry had signed a contract directly with the manufacturer, the country could have gotten it at a lesser price. So the investigation has already been surrounding why the ministry signed a contract with a middleman to provide a vaccine instead of dealing directly with the manufacturer. But when the minister appeared before the committee today, he said that at that time, at that time he had made other efforts to get directly to the manufacturer, but he couldn't get through to the manufacturer. That is how come he had to deal with the Sheikh Maktoum to provide the vaccine. Then he was also asked whether he was able to get parliamentary approval, because according to the agreement, an international agreement, and with such agreement, it was supposed to have received parliamentary approval. He did agree that he did not seek parliamentary approval. He did not also get cabinet approval. He did not also deal initially with the Attorney General's department before signing the agreement. But he explained that at that time, there were a lot of people, there were a lot of people getting contracted with the virus. A lot of people were dying. So even though he did not get parliamentary approval, he went following the Emergency Instrument 61 passed by Parliament. That's a subsidiary legislation. And because of the emergency situation the country was under, he was forced to work. He was forced to sign the contract without getting approval from Parliament. He was then asked why he signed a contract with the Sheikh to buy the vaccine at $19 when he could have gotten a lesser price of $10 or even less. He said that was the best deal he could get for the country. Then, if you remember, the ICIF had published a document that no country should buy the vaccine above $10 per dose. He was asked that, and he answered that that was an ex-factory price, and that did not include transportation, storage, and syringes to be used. Then he also said that he had earlier told the Parliamentary Committee of Health that he was not going to buy any vaccine more than $10. He explained that when he met the committee, he meant the AstraZeneca vaccine and not the Sputnik V. Then why he negotiated another contract with SL Global to buy a vaccine at $26? Then he explained that that contract involved the buying of the Sputnik Live vaccine, which was a single dose, which price was $26, but was then negotiated to $19. He reminded the team that he made a mistake by not seeking parliamentary approval, and he did not also seek cabinet approval. But he kept on explaining that that was because, and at that time, a lot of people were dying from the virus, and then he also made an attempt to get directly to the manufacturer without vaccine. Then he was reminded that the team is currently in Ghana conducting clinical trial on the Sputnik Live. He explained that the contract he signed was prior to FDA approval. So that's what the minister has been talking to the team, the committee investigating the purchase of the vaccine.
Okay, Humo, we'll get back to you for updates for our 7 p.m. bulletin. Thank you so much, our correspondent from Parliament, Humo Kapsum Abdullahi. Lack of first aid drugs coupled with lack of teaching and learning aids tops the challenges facing the demonstration school for the deaf in Mampon Ikapim in the eastern region. Authorities of the school say these peculiar problems are affecting the well-being of the students and their studies. You're watching News Alive on GBC News and GTV. We're taking a short break. Please stay with us.